Out in the vast, silent darkness of the ocean, something exists that should not. It does not age the way we do. It does not follow the rules of life and death. And under the right conditions, it simply refuses to die. For decades, scientists believed immortality belonged only to myth, stories of gods, legends, and impossible creatures. But drifting through the oceans of our planet is a tiny, almost invisible organism that challenges everything we thought we understood about life itself. A jellyfish no larger than a fingernail, known as Turritopsis dohrnii. The immortal jellyfish. And what it can do has left scientists deeply confused. To understand this mystery, we must begin far from human observation, beneath the ocean surface, where sunlight fades and currents carry microscopic life across vast distances. Here, in warm coastal waters across the world, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Pacific Ocean, this nearly transparent creature drifts silently. At first glance, it seems unremarkable. Its bell-shaped body pulses gently, propelling it through the water. Thin, delicate tentacles trail behind, capturing tiny plankton. Like other jellyfish, it appears fragile, almost ghost-like. But beneath this simplicity lies something extraordinary. Because this jellyfish is not just living. It is reversing time. Most life on Earth follows a one-way journey. Birth, growth, reproduction. From the smallest insect to the largest whale, every organism moves forward through time, aging as cells deteriorate and systems slowly fail. But Turritopsis dohrnii breaks this rule. When faced with stress, injury, starvation, or environmental danger, it does something no other animal is known to do in quite the same way. Instead of dying, it transforms. Its body begins to collapse inward. Tentacles retract. The bell shrinks. Its entire structure disintegrates into a mass of living cells. But this is not decay. This is transformation. In a process known as transdifferentiation, the jellyfish's cells change identity, one type of cell becoming another, completely reprogramming themselves. Muscle cells can become nerve cells. Nerve cells can become reproductive cells. And within days, the adult jellyfish becomes something entirely different. A polyp. This polyp is the earliest stage of a jellyfish's life, a tiny, plant-like structure that attaches itself to a surface on the ocean floor. From here, it begins life all over again. It grows. It develops. It buds off new jellyfish. And eventually, one of those jellyfish becomes an adult identical to the one that began the cycle. In essence, the organism has reset its biological clock. It has returned to youth. Not once. Not twice. But potentially endlessly. This phenomenon has led scientists to describe Turritopsis dohrnii as biologically immortal. But what does that really mean? It does not mean the jellyfish cannot be killed. It can still be eaten by predators, destroyed by disease, or damaged beyond recovery. But if left undisturbed, it may never die of old age. A concept that directly contradicts one of the most fundamental laws of biology. Because aging, senescence, is thought to be unavoidable. Cells accumulate damage. DNA degrades. Systems fail. Yet somehow, this jellyfish escapes that fate. The question that has puzzled scientists for years is simple, yet profound. How? What allows this tiny organism to do what no human, no mammal, no complex animal can? And more importantly, to answer this, researchers have begun to study the jellyfish at a microscopic level. Inside its cells, they have discovered unusual genetic activity, genes that appear to control cellular repair, DNA maintenance, and regeneration. Some of these genes are linked to processes also found in humans, but in far less powerful forms. In Turritopsis dohrnii, these mechanisms seem to be amplified, activated in ways that allow complete biological reversal. Imagine a human body doing the same. An adult reverting back into a child. A child returning to infancy. Cells reorganizing, tissues rebuilding, age undone. It sounds impossible. Yet in the ocean, it is happening. But immortality, even in this strange form, comes with complications. Because resetting life is not as simple as pressing a button. Each transformation requires energy, It depends on environmental conditions, and it is triggered only under stress. Why would an organism evolve such an ability? The answer may lie in survival. In the unpredictable world of the ocean, danger is constant. Predators lurk in every direction. Food availability changes rapidly. Conditions can shift without warning. For most creatures, these challenges lead to death. But for Turritopsis dohrnii, they trigger rebirth. Instead of escaping danger through speed or strength, it escapes by becoming something else entirely. This strategy is unlike anything seen in larger animals. Compare it to a fish which must flee predators, or a squid which uses camouflage and ink, or even a whale which relies on size and intelligence. The immortal jellyfish does none of these. It does not fight. It does not run. It simply resets. Yet this raises another mystery. If this ability is so powerful, why is it so rare? Why don't more species possess it? After all, evolution favors survival. And immortality, at least in theory, would seem like the ultimate advantage. But biology is rarely so simple. Complex organisms, like humans, are made up of highly specialized cells that cannot easily change roles. A heart cell cannot suddenly become a brain cell. A skin cell cannot reorganize into an entire organ. But in simpler organisms, like jellyfish, cells retain a level of flexibility. They are less fixed, more adaptable. And in Turritopsis dohrnii, this flexibility reaches its extreme. Even so, the process is not fully understood. Scientists are still uncovering how the jellyfish controls this transformation without errors. Because in most organisms, uncontrolled cell changes lead to something dangerous. Cancer. Cells dividing and changing uncontrollably, disrupting the body instead of repairing it. Yet the immortal jellyfish avoids this fate. Its transformation is precise, controlled, reversible, a level of cellular mastery that remains unexplained. And then there is the question of identity. If a jellyfish reverts to a polyp and grows again, is it the same individual? Or is it something new? From a genetic perspective, it is identical. But from a biological timeline, it has restarted. It has erased its past form. In a way, it is both the same and not the same at all. A paradox that blurs the line between life, death, and rebirth. As research continues, scientists are beginning to see the immortal jellyfish not just as a curiosity, but as a key to understanding aging itself. If the mechanisms behind its transformation can be understood, they may reveal insights into how cells repair damage, how DNA is preserved, and how aging might one day be slowed or even reversed. But this is where the confusion deepens. Because what works in a simple jellyfish may not translate to complex organisms. Human bodies are vastly more intricate. Our systems are interconnected in ways that resist such drastic changes. And yet, the possibility remains. Hidden within this tiny creature may be clues to one of humanity's oldest questions. Can life truly escape time? For now, the immortal jellyfish continues its silent existence. Drifting, feeding, transforming. A creature that defies expectations, challenges scientific understanding, and quietly rewrites the rules of biology. But as we look closer, new questions emerge. Because immortality, it seems, is not just about living forever. It is about understanding what it means to truly live at all. But immortality, in the case of Turritopsis dohrnii, is not a story of perfection. It is a story of limits. Because even a creature that can reverse its own life cannot escape the realities of the world it inhabits. In the open ocean, survival is never guaranteed. Tiny fish patrol the water column, filtering anything small enough to consume. Larger jellyfish drift nearby, their stinging tentacles capable of paralyzing prey, and sometimes other jellyfish. Even microscopic predators feed on fragile organisms like Turritopsis dohrnii. To them, immortality means nothing. A single encounter can end the cycle instantly. No transformation, no reversal, no second chance. And yet, despite these dangers, the immortal jellyfish persists. Not as a dominant species, not as an apex predator, but as something quieter, more subtle, a biological anomaly woven into the fabric of the ocean. What makes this even more fascinating is how invisible this creature remains. Unlike whales breaching the surface or sharks slicing through the water, Turritopsis dohrnii lives largely unnoticed. It does not command attention. It does not reshape ecosystems in obvious ways. But its presence may be more widespread than we realize, because this jellyfish has begun to appear far beyond its original range. In recent years, scientists have observed Turritopsis dohrnii in oceans across the globe, from European coastlines to Asian waters, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. A species once thought to be limited in distribution is now everywhere. And the reason may not be natural. Human activity has unintentionally turned this small jellyfish into a global traveler. Ships moving across oceans carry ballast water, massive tanks filled with seawater used to stabilize vessels. Inside that water, countless microscopic organisms are transported from one region to another. Among them, the immortal jellyfish. Released into new environments, it adapts, survives, and quietly spreads. An organism that can reset its life cycle, now crossing entire oceans without effort. But what does this mean for the ecosystems it enters? That is a question scientists are still trying to answer. Because even a small organism can have ripple effects. Jellyfish compete for plankton, a fundamental resource in marine food webs. Changes in their populations can alter the balance of entire ecosystems, affecting fish, predators, and even human fisheries. If a species that does not age begins to accumulate in large numbers, what happens then? Does it become invasive? Or does its vulnerability to predators keep it in check? So far, no clear answer has emerged. The immortal jellyfish remains unpredictable. But beyond its ecological role lies something even more compelling. Its potential to reshape our understanding of biology itself. For decades, scientists have studied aging as an irreversible process. In humans, aging is driven by a combination of factors: cellular damage, genetic mutations, shortening of telomeres, and gradual loss of function. Each cell carries a biological clock. And over time, that clock runs out. But Turritopsis dohrnii seems to ignore this countdown. Its cells do not simply repair damage, they reset. They return to an earlier state, as if time itself has been rewritten at the cellular level. One of the key areas of research focuses on gene expression. Inside the jellyfish, certain genes become active during its transformation, genes linked to regeneration, stem cell activity, and DNA repair. Some of these genes have parallels in humans, but in us they are limited, restricted. In the jellyfish, they are unleashed. This has led scientists to ask a provocative question: what if aging is not inevitable? What if it is simply a process we do not yet know how to control? Already, research into regenerative biology is exploring ways to repair damaged tissues, regenerate organs, and slow the effects of aging. Stem cell therapy, genetic editing, and molecular repair mechanisms are all part of this growing field. And at the center of it all is a tiny jellyfish drifting in the ocean. But translating this ability into human biology is far from straightforward. The human body is not designed to reset. Our cells are deeply specialized, forming complex systems that depend on stability. Reversing them could lead to chaos. Organs failing, systems collapsing, cells growing uncontrollably. In other words, the very process that gives the jellyfish its power could destroy us. And yet, the fascination remains. Because within this creature lies proof that life does not have to follow a single path. That under certain conditions, biology can be rewritten. But perhaps the greatest mystery is not how the jellyfish does it. It is why. Evolution does not create abilities without reason. Every trait, every adaptation, emerges from the pressures of survival. So what pressure led to this? Why would an organism evolve not just to survive, but to start over entirely? One possibility lies in instability. In environments where survival is uncertain, where death can come suddenly and unpredictably, the ability to reset may offer a unique advantage. Not by avoiding danger, but by recovering from it. Another theory suggests that this ability may not have evolved specifically for immortality at all. Instead, it may be a byproduct of cellular flexibility, a side effect of simple body structures and adaptable cells. In this view, immortality is not a goal. It is an accident, a strange consequence of how the organism is built. But even this does not fully explain the precision of the process. The coordination required, the way cells reorganize without error. It is too controlled, too exact. And so, the mystery remains. As scientists continue to study Turritopsis dohrnii, new technologies are opening doors that were once closed. Advanced genetic sequencing allows researchers to map its genome in detail. Microscopic imaging reveals the transformation process step by step. Laboratory experiments attempt to replicate and understand its cellular behavior. Each discovery brings us closer, but also reveals how much we still do not know. Because the immortal jellyfish is not just a biological curiosity. It is a challenge, a reminder that even in the modern age, with all our knowledge and technology, nature still holds secrets beyond our understanding. And perhaps that is what makes it so compelling. Not just the idea of immortality, but the realization that life itself is far more flexible, far more mysterious than we ever imagined. Out in the ocean,